Hey everyone, it's Steve here, and I am joined by Barry and Mike.
Hello.
And we're going to take a look at Trine Enchanted Edition for Wii U coming on the eShop. And we're doing this kind of discussion style because we have all got a chance to play the game together. And we actually beat the game not too long ago, and we just wanted to do kind of a discussion review instead of our normal written reviews. Just a little background on Trine. It's the prequel to Trine 2. It came out on the Wii U on a launch title, I believe, for Wii U, and they went back to the original game, the Trine, and gave it the Trine 2 look and feel, and re-released it basically for Wii U. And if you don't know about Trine, Trine's a kind of an enchanted story about three unlikely heroes. There's a wizard, and there's a knight, and there's a thief, and they're basically spellbound by this magic object called the Trine, and they join forces to overcome all these obstacles and puzzles and everything in order to balance the kingdom. And so that's the game we played, and we just want to dive into what we thought about the game. We got a chance to really jump into it and spend about 5 hours, I think, beat the game the other night. What are you guys' initial thoughts about Trine Enchanted Edition?
Well, first off, I think what they did with the graphics were really nice. There were some really, really cool areas, especially underwater. But one of the things that really seemed to bug, I think, all of us were the controls. The jumps were not accurate, which is kind of weird because it is sort of platformy, and non-accurate jumps lead to a lot of deaths or damage that you didn't want to take. So thank God for unlimited continues. But outside of that, I mean, initially, like, if you just look at it, it's a really pretty game and will probably pique your interest.
Just first impressions. I played a bit of it, like the original one on PC, and I seen a lot of major changes and a lot of they weren't necessarily big changes. The game still looks as beautiful as ever, but I just couldn't get past the floaty platforming. Like, every time I jump on a ledge, like, I felt like I was gonna fall off or maybe
There was
not make the jump.
inconsistencies.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, so I totally agree with you guys. I mean, the visuals were really great. I mean, I was always impressed by Trine 2, and now that they take that engine and rebuild Trine with that same thing, it just looks beautiful, and very, very impressed. But yeah, the platforming sections, it's just, there is a lot of platforming in certain levels, and yeah, you just jump too far, or you don't really land where you're supposed to, or sometimes I was playing mostly as the wizard, and sometimes I'd be able to jump onto a ledge and sometimes I wouldn't, and there would be no rhyme or reason why that would happen.
Yeah, it happened as Warrior as well. But talking about the platforming, the last level and the bonus level are nothing but platforming.
It's true, and with levels like that, you have to be like precise, and it's really, really difficult to be precise with this game.
I had to do a lot of gasping and breath holding.
Yeah, there's a lot of, oh, hope you're gonna make it. Hope you're gonna. Oh man, hope you're gonna make it. So.
Although the one thing that really bugged me is it was really easy in the beginning, and then at one point it just spiked up in difficulty.
That's true. It didn't seem like the difficulty just ramped up all of a sudden. Like, we were blowing through the first few levels and making sure we were getting all the collecting stuff, but all of a sudden, yeah, the difficulty turned up, and we're just like, let's just finish this level, like, get it over with.
Yeah, it seemed like the direction went from, I want 100% this level and collect everything, to, quick, which one of us can get to the next checkpoint ASAP so that we don't have to replay this part that we're stuck in.
Right. So one of the things that we realized is playing multiplayer online, I was really impressed with how smooth the online play was. It was very smooth. I didn't hardly realize any lag. Did you guys pick up on any lag or anything on your end?
Not really. Like, I seen maybe one odd jump, but that was likely because of my network setup.
Yeah, for me, I didn't, and I'm on wireless, but I didn't see any lag either on the screen or on the gamepad. But while we did have a steady connection, and even when Steve, your internet was going out and you lost a Skype call with us, you were still playing, which was very nice to see. Getting started in a group together in a channel in a room together was a real pain.
That's very true. Yeah, once we got started, it was fine. Or once we got going, it was fine. But getting started, that took us. I mean, I was looking back at our gameplay footage, and I think it took maybe like 5-10 minutes for us to even get connected in the very beginning.
I think that last level, though, we were messing around with. It took me about 15 tries to get into the game again.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know if that was. I don't think it was an issue on our end because once we did get connected, it was fine. But so I don't know if hopefully that's going to be something they fix over time. We were kind of disappointed though in Trine 2. There is game chat included in the Wii U version, but this redone version of Trine 1. The game chat was not there, so we did have to connect with each other through Skype. I'm glad we did that because I couldn't imagine playing with you guys. In fact, we did. While my Skype call drops, we were playing without actually talking with you, and that was a completely different experience. And it was so much better when I actually was able to communicate with you guys and we work out a plan together. Playing with just two random people, essentially, what it felt like at that time when I wasn't connected was just so bizarre, and I was like, I don't know what they're doing, I don't know what the plan is, and so I definitely recommend, because it doesn't have game chat, find some other way to talk to the people you're going to play with online.
Yeah, this isn't like Mario Kart where you can get away with racing without vocals, even though it would be so much better to communicate. This game is 100% teamwork, communication based. You can't actually progress in the game if you don't work together. And like when you were off Skype, it was like such a communication barrier because Mike and I were talking and we were trying to figure out what you were doing, and since you were a wizard, we're like, come over here, we need a block, and you weren't listening, and it was more like, well, let's just let him go and maybe he'll get to the next checkpoint because we're out of luck because we can't go on.
So we talked a lot about multiplayer. Let's talk about the single player just a little bit. I think all of us would agree that we like the multiplayer a whole lot more. Why do we not like the single player as much?
Single player is just a nightmare because you have to switch between the characters manually and do everything that's needed with all three characters while you're being attacked, while you're trying to dodge spikes and puzzles, a lot of physics puzzles. It's just a nightmare. It's especially like the last level and the later levels. I think I would rip out any hair I had on my head just trying to do that single player.
I didn't like the single player. Even in Trine 2, I didn't like it.
Yeah, there's not as much fun there. I think the co-op really brings the game, home, and because it focuses on these three heroes working together. And if you have to do it yourself, it just doesn't really do what it's supposed to be doing. I think the game really soars in those moments when all three heroes are working together. But at the same time, I mean, there's a lot of levels that I know we really had trouble with, and so if one of us died, the other one could keep on going, or the other two could keep on going and bring the other one back. But if you're by yourself, you die. Well,
it's one of those things where like if you need the wizard for an area and you die as a wizard, you're really like stuck to the point that you're gonna have to go back to a checkpoint and bring back the wizard. So it's almost like you're gonna have to play as certain characters, almost like you play as the knight just to absorb damage until you need the other ones to protect the other ones.
One good positive thing I've seen about it was the object limit.
That's true. You shot a lot of those arrows.
My mind was wandering after about 4 hours, so shooting those arrows at random things to make those platforms spin.
One thing the readers or listeners of this should note is that we started the game at like 10 o'clock at night after the last podcast, and we didn't finish until like 3 a.m. So as we got progressively to the harder levels, we also progressively got tired and worse and started amusing ourselves with how many arrows we can put on a platform and how many times we can make the object physically spin by shooting said arrows so that the other player can't progress.
And that was just the fun part of it, I think, too. And it was like, a lot of us haven't really gotten that chance to really kind of play through a game together with someone else for a while, and that was the fun part of it, was just to kind of goof off, and we were trying to progress, but there was still a level of fun in this game, and I think that was something that I took out of it as well. I had a lot of fun playing it, even though at times it was very frustrating. It was still fun to play.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely say this: not many games have kept me up to that late overall. And regardless of the fact that it's our job to review this, it was just fun, just playing with friends and just screwing around and seeing what kind of mess we could do. And Mike's claim to try to break the game every 5 minutes defined the experience pretty much.
It's true. Let's talk about the pros of the game itself. Obviously, the visuals. We all really love the visuals. We enjoyed the multiplayer experience when it finally started working in the online multiplayer experience. And what else?
The combat felt very satisfying to me.
Inventory as well. I like the fact that if one person got a chest, anyone else could go into the inventory and distribute the items to whomever it better suited. And I like that.
Yeah, that's true. It was that shared inventory was really nice. All right, let's talk about cons. Definitely the problems of getting connected initially online, and then the floaty controls. Those are two standouts to me. Any other cons that you guys can think of?
Difficulty spike definitely hurts. The music wasn't like engaging. In fact, 9 times out of 10, I didn't even realize there was music. Like, it was just very in the background. And I will say this: it had, and this is sort of a spoiler, but mute if you don't want to hear, but it had the most disappointing final boss since General Scales of Star Fox Adventures. Really build up to nothing.
That's true. Yeah, and all of us were kind of like, really? That's the end? It's over?
And there are other bosses in the game, mind you. So the final boss being what it is, and you'll see if you get that far, is a real slap in the face for how much that final level tortures you.
I think, or for me, like the bosses in general were pretty disappointing. I think one I made fall into a pit, and that was just completely unintentional. And I also died in that pit as well, but that's another story.
Right. It definitely seems like it's just stage obstacles and just the general stages and the flighty controls are almost a bigger enemy than the enemies themselves.
Yes.
All in all, we gave Trine Enchanted Edition a 6 out of 10 from NintendoFuse. Because it's a good game, but there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. And we'd like to thank you guys so much for tuning in to our review of Trine Enchanted Edition. Make sure you check out NintendoFuse for all your news and reviews.